The problem says the perimeter of a triangle is 57. The first side is twice the length of the second side. The third side is 7 more than the second side. What is the length of each side? Boy, does that sound confusing. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys a method and a step-by-step process that we can do to solve this problem. Now, usually whenever you've heard of a word problem, one of your best tips is to draw a picture. And there is nothing I'm going to do to refute that. If you can draw a picture of a problem, just draw it. It's going to help you organize the problem and what everything you get. So I'm just going to draw a nice little triangle. Beautiful. Thank you. The next thing you're going to want to do, and if you can draw a picture, is now you need to determine what is the question asking us. Well, they want us to find the length of each side. So we have 3 sides to our triangle. And first, second, and third side. So I'm just going to write these out because I need to find the value of all 3 of these sides. Okay, that's the second thing we need to do. The third thing we need to do is we need to assign a variable. Because we need to figure out what these sides are. So we need to say, well, what do they equal? And we don't want to just guess and check. We want to say, well, if we can find a variable, then we can set up an equation and we can actually get a definitive answer. This is the answer. This is the length. So we need to assign a variable. We need to figure out what variable we want to use, and we need to say, what is our variable going to represent? Now, it's a good idea for your variable to represent what your question is asking. Well, here we have a problem because our question is asking 3 different things. It's the first side, the second side, the third side. Now, later in mathematics, you'll learn how to solve when you have multiple variables. But if you're looking at this problem, I'm assuming that you're in a class of, something either algebra or something in that around that level. So we've only really dealt with solving with one variable. So we need to say, all right, let's pick our variable. I'm just going to pick x. And what is my x going to equal? Well, x has to equal one of these sides. I don't know which one. We need to pick one. All right? So if you want to make it difficult, you can just randomly pick one and then see if you can draw up a relationship for the rest of them. The other way is you can say, all right, what side is compared to the other 2? What side do I take the other 2 sides and compare to my one side? And let's take a look. Let me read through this problem and I'll see maybe if you guys can understand what I'm talking about. It says the first side is twice the length of the second side. So if I can figure out what that second side is, I know that my first side is going to be twice the length. So if my second side was 10, the first side would be 20. Okay? So all I got to do is figure out what that second side is. Next sentence. The third side is 7 more than the second side. So if I can figure out what that second side is, all I have to do is add 7, and I got it. All right, so all I have to do is add 7, and I can figure out what that second side is to get my third side. So therefore, since I'm comparing the first side and the third side to what the second side is, I know that my second side, that's where I'm going to want to use my variable. So I'll say x equals the length of the second side. So let's say that's x. So therefore, my first side is 2x. Third side is going to be x plus 7. Now, on my triangle, like I said, I don't know if this is an obtuse, an acute, an equilateral, whatever. So I'm just going to write them in there because it's not really going to help me solve my problem how my triangle is written. So I have x, 2x, x plus 7. Obviously, that's x, and that has to be twice as big as it, but I'm not going to be worried about that. But you guys can see the reason why this is important is because it says the perimeter of a triangle. Remember, the perimeter is when you take all the sides of a triangle and you add them up. You find the distance around a figure. So therefore, I'm going to say 2x plus x plus 7 plus x. So I'll say x plus 2x plus x plus 7, and that equals 57. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to combine my terms. X plus 2x plus x, which gives me 4x, plus 7 equals 57. Now we have to subtract 3, 4x, yep. Subtract 7. And therefore I get 4x is equal to 50. Divide by 4. All right, and let's see, I'll get 4 goes into 50. Well, it definitely goes in there 10 times, 11, 12 times. So it goes in there actually 11 or 12.5. Goes 12 times, 11 times 4 is 44. 12 times 4 would be 48. And then there's a remainder of 2 left. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2, so it'd be 12.5. So my answer is not asking me what x equals. My answer was actually, the second side is 12.5. So I can say the first side, so that's 12.5. The first side then is going to be 25. And the third side is going to be 19.5. So that's how you find the length of 3 sides of a triangle when given algebraic expressions for each side.